Frag Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of Frag Tag Radio. And here with you today is your boy Pradius. And so we got another review for you this time. Last time we reviewed Halo 5 Guardians. This time, dropping my review on Rise of the Tomb Raider. So, thanks to the good folks over at Microsoft, I've had the game for a couple weeks now, about 2 weeks. So I've had enough time to go through and play as much as possible and get my written review done, which you'll be able to check out my written review at fragtagradio.com. As always, if you want some more in-depth coverage, more than what you'll see here in this video. But I will try to cover as much as possible here. So without further ado, I need to get those plugs out of the way, of course. Appy Gamer, the big one. Appy makes you happy. Appy Gamer, free gaming news app. Get all your news on one source, including you boys here at Frag Tag Radio, for free. It is on Android, iOS, and Windows as well, I believe. And then, of course, Gaming News and Reviews, which is on Android and iOS. And then Game On. Shouts to Troy. Game On is on Windows Phone and iOS as well. So if you're on Windows Phone, most definitely download Game On. And if you're on iOS, I suggest checking it out as well. It's an absolutely great gaming news app, free. And it's got tons of great news sources in there for all your gaming news, of course, with Frag Tag Radio as well. So you can't go wrong there. You can also catch us, like I said, at our website, fragtagradio.com, on iTunes, Stitch, TuneIn, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. So I think with the plugs out of the way, we can now just dive right into the review. So you may or may not remember the 2013 reboot of Tomb Raider, which came out on 360 and PS3, and then later on Xbox One and PS4 as the definitive edition. I really enjoyed 2013's Rise of the Tomb Raider. It actually kind of caught me by surprise because I liked Tomb Raider back in the day. I used to play it on the old PlayStations, the first couple of them. But then once they started getting a little bit watered down, and it was just the same thing. And then the development, just started going down and down and down to where it wasn't even really that quality anymore. And so I was kind of skeptical about playing another Tomb Raider. But since it was a reboot and it looked amazing from what I could see, I went through, played it, and was very surprised that it was such a great game. I mean, I would put it up there, with Uncharted. It's at least as good as Uncharted, if not better. And I'm sorry if you're a PlayStation fan and you just believe Uncharted is the best game ever to grace, but I mean, it really is. It's just as good as Uncharted, and whether or not it's better is a matter of opinion. But I would say it's just as good. But the real problem with the 2013 edition of Rise of the Tomb Raider was it was more Uncharted in the sense that it was mostly action, adventure, really scripted sequences where you're running from stuff, climbing, almost falling, that type of stuff. But there wasn't a lot of actual tomb raiding in it. It did feature, the optional tombs that you could go into, but there just wasn't that many of them. Really, I think there was only a handful of them. So even though it was a great game, and most people felt that way, the biggest complaint about it was that there wasn't enough actual tomb raiding going on in Tomb Raider. So I think this time around, Crystal Dynamics has made it a point to remedy that, and there are a lot more optional tombs in Rise of the Tomb Raider. So the last game, Laura was on that island, and all that crazy stuff went down, and yeah. So that was us seeing the origins of Lara Croft, like what made her into the Tomb Raider. In fact, I think Rise of the Tomb Raider would have been a better title for the last one, and then they should have called this one just straight up Tomb Raider, but whatever. So yeah, that was more of like an origin story. At the very beginning of that game, she hadn't never killed anyone. She hadn't used a lot of weapons before, and she wasn't really climbing and exploring, all that stuff was really new to her. So we saw her transform into a frightened yet curious young explorer into a badass exploring killer who could do stealthy assassinations and pull off headshots with ease, and all that type of crazy stuff. So yeah, and that transformation took place pretty quickly because the first time she kills someone in that game, she acts like it's a big deal, but then 2 seconds later, she's blowing people's heads off left and right. So people felt one way or another about that. I thought it was pretty well done, and then considering that it is a video game, I mean, you've got to put that into consideration as well. So graphically, that game was a great looking game. Great. So I was actually looking forward to seeing how they could build on that here and make it look even better. And given that the gameplay was already top notch, I was wondering how they could build on that. So that's pretty much what we're going to dive into and what we're going to talk about. So this time around, she is trying to finish what her father started. Before her father, Lord Croft, died, he had become obsessed with immortality and searching for the tomb of this ancient figure known as the Prophet, who was, for all intents and purposes, like a god. And he had created this artifact or an object called the Divine Source, which is said to be able to cure all disease, famine, sickness, whatever, and grant immortality. So she wants to search for it, and she starts to get really close, and then the people around her are telling her to give up and don't do it. It's crazy. And then she's like, hell no, I'm doing it. I can't turn back now. I've already gone this far. She feels like she's got to complete her father's work and prove, because, I guess in the archaeology community, he had become sort of a laughing stock before his death because people thought that he had just lost his mind and, all this crazy crap with immortality and all that. So she wants to really prove that and kind of clear its name, as well as find the Divine Source and seek out the answers for herself. So she goes out and in search of the Prophet's tomb in a desert, which is right at the beginning of the game. Actually, at the very beginning of the game, it starts you out in an action sequence climbing up a cliff with her sidekick Jonah, which you probably saw that during, I think, E3 or Gamescom or one of those press conferences. They pretty much showed this sequence already. And I think it was a really good way to open the game, to show you the type of action and stuff that awaits you. And then it goes... that is actually taking place a little bit in the future, and then it rewinds back to present day and shows her, going over her father's books, and then she tries to make her way to the Prophet's tomb, which is in like a desert type area. And the Prophet's tomb is the first tomb that players will experience in the game. It is not optional. It is the only tomb in the game that is not optional. But I think it does a really good job as kind of serving as like a tutorial for players who aren't familiar with tomb raiding or who might not have played the last game, to kind of show them the mechanics and how it works and solving the puzzles and things like that. So she goes in there, and of course the problem is there are bad guys, as there were in the last game. This time the bad guys are a group known as Trinity. Last time it was a group of islanders led by some crazy guy. This time it's a group, like a corporation of soldiers called Trinity. And they are led by a man named Constantine. And for all intents and purposes, it seemed to me like Trinity is like a modern day version of the Templars. And if you've played, Assassin's Creed or anything like that, you'll be, familiar with the Templars and kind of who they are. And their symbol is very Templarish. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that they actually are a modern day version of the Templars. And so they consider the Prophet and all of his, ancient stuff heresy, and they want to find the the divine source or object, and use it for their own greedy purposes or whatever. So they followed Laura to the Prophet's tomb, and you are in the tomb searching, and you can see the Prophet's tomb up high above, and you have to find the way to get up there. And that's where the puzzle solving and all that type of stuff comes into play, and you need to get up there and get the shit before Trinity shows up and takes it from you. So, needless to say, you do eventually make your way up there after you solve the puzzles. So crazy shit transpires, and then you're back in present day in Siberia. And that's where the game kind of really starts and opens up. And it's also where you find your first campsite in the Siberian wilderness. You have to, gather some wood, blah, 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 make your first campfire. And then after that, you're in sort of like a small open area. As with the last game, Rise of the Tomb Raider is not an open world game, but it has many main areas that act as like mini open worlds in their own self-contained way. And you can move between them, as well as using campsites to fast travel to other campsites that you've been to before, so that you don't have to waste your time running around from the end of the world back to the beginning again and so forth. You can just fast travel. There is hunting in the game again. The combat is just as good as it was last time. The hunting, there are, of course, deers, bears, cheetahs, rabbits, birds, pretty much all the animals from the last one, as well as maybe one or two new ones. Hunting itself takes place pretty much the same way. You can use guns or your bow and arrow. But what's different this time, or what I think is different, what seemed different to me, was the way the crafting materials work. So I think last time there were more specific animal skins based on which animals you were killing. And in this time, pretty much no matter what animal you kill, it's just going to give you a straight up animal skin. And you can use that to craft stuff or upgrade stuff. Now, there are rare types of animals, and if you kill a rare type of animal, it will give you a rare animal skin, which is used for higher level crafting and upgrading. And then there are a couple of animals that have their own specific animal skins, such as the bear and I believe the boar. Both of those have their own specific skins. So if you want a bear skin, you have to kill a bear, and if you want to kill a boar or get a boar skin, you have to kill a boar. So, yeah. Pretty much, like I said, you use that stuff for crafting, and it makes the crafting a lot more simplified this time. Last time I felt like I was micromanaging a lot of different crafting sources, and it was a lot to keep up with. So with that simplification, you don't have as many crafting resources to keep up with this time when crafting stuff. There are other stuff, of course, other than animal skin. You got your salvage, which looks like nuts and bolts, cloth, feathers, things like that. And then so you collect all that type of different stuff and you craft stuff or you upgrade stuff. Laura herself, you can craft different types of ammunition like arrows, and then later on in the game you learn to craft poison arrows, fire arrows, explosive arrows. You get to craft bigger pouches to hold more pistol ammo, more shotgun ammo, more rifle ammo, more arrows. You also can craft pouches that let you hold more salvage as well and more resources. And those were actually the ones that I crafted first, because I found that the standard does not let you hold much resources and you're constantly getting it full. And that got annoying pretty quick. But, so... yeah, the crafting is pretty much the same as it was in the last one, other than the fact that it's been a little bit more simplified, a little bit more streamlined, and I really appreciate that. I think it's a great way of going about it, because you want to concentrate more on the exploring and more on the having fun than micromanaging a bunch of different little sources. So that was really cool. The weapons that you get throughout the game, some of the weapons you'll get made whole from a certain part of the game. Like you get your first pistol that way, you get your first rifle that way, and your first shotgun that way. They're whole together, ready to start using. And then you can upgrade those with different resources that you collected as well. That could be increasing the fire rate, increasing the overall damage, increasing the ammo capacity, increasing the reload speed, whatever. Or if it's the bow, you can increase the draw speed, the rate of fire, the length of time that you can actually hold the bow, because as in with the last one, when you have the bow drawn, it eventually becomes unstable and you have to shoot. So the longer you can hold that, the better, because there are a lot of scenes in the game where you might be wanting to play stealthy, and we'll get into that in a minute, where you might want to hold it longer. So there are other weapons, more shotguns, more rifles, more pistols, but you have to collect the parts. Now there are these giant, metal lock boxes throughout the game, and you can open them one of two ways, with her pickaxe, or some actually have a lock on them. And there is a side mission that you can do Um, yes, there are side missions, and that will give you the lockpick that you need. There is no lockpicking mini game like in Fallout or Skyrim or anything like that. It's just you just hold down the X button if you have the lockpick, and it unlocks it. So a little lockpick, mini game might have been kind of cool there, although it might have been kind of tedious as well. I'm sure they probably experimented with it and decided this was the best way to go. I don't really have a feeling about that one way or the other. You might, so that's something to think about. Um, but yeah, so I got, I think, 2 or 3 different assault rifles. I got 3 or 4 different pistols and 2 or 3 different shotguns by the time it was all done. I had like 4 different bow and arrows. Like I said, you'll get the parts from those boxes. They're scattered throughout. They will show up on your mini map. As you are playing through the game, you will find there are tons of objects and collectibles that you can find. There are maps which map the area and show locations of items, and there are also backpacks, and backpacks also reveal the locations of different items. And then there are obelisks, which I'll get into in a minute, which reveal locations of the coin catches in the area, and we'll talk about that as well. There are also a ton of audio logs and scripts for you to find and read. They are read by the voice of whoever the character is that wrote them, which is a really nice touch. I always love in games like this or Fallout or whatever when you find audio logs and you can listen to them and they add, backstory to the game, and they make you feel kind of more immersed in the world and let you know more about what's going on. So there are a ton of those to collect as well. There are resource stashes and coin catches, which are actually buried in certain parts of the ground and they aren't immediately visible. If you're near one, the controller will vibrate a little bit and you'll know that it's in the area. Or if you find one of the maps or read an obelisk or whatever, it'll reveal it on the map and show you exactly where it is, and then you just have to go there and then use your pickaxe to dig it up. So I guess 2 things to talk about: obelisks and the coins. So first, let's talk about the coins. You get the coins from coin stashes or from optional tombs. And pretty much all of the optional tombs, you will find these ancient coins. And there is an NPC, a merchant character that you will meet who sells stuff, and his currency is these ancient coins. He sells a couple of different weapons. I believe a SPAS like Call of Duty military grade shotgun, and a like M16 like military grade assault rifle. He also sells a silencer for your pistol, a laser for your rifle, a grenade launcher attachment for your rifle. He sells a new outfit for Laura, and he also sells a refinement tool which unlocks the 4th upgrade tier of your weapons upgrading. We talked about weapons upgrading. When you first get it, you're only able to upgrade that first tier, and then you'll find a crafting tool which unlocks the 2nd tier, and then you find another tool which unlocks the 3rd tier, and then the only way to get this tool to unlock that 4th tier is to buy it from this guy, and it costs 175 strange coins, which is a lot. I was like 75% of the way through the game before I finally had enough coins to do it. And then the other stuff costs a lot of coins as well. I believe the weapons cost 140 coins each. The silencer costs like 30. There's a thing that you can use for rope climbing that makes you climb ropes faster. That one was like 25 or 30. The laser attachment was like 30. The outfit was like 100. So it varies. And this merchant stays in the same spot the whole game, but you can always fast travel back to him from anywhere via the campsite. So that's pretty cool. The obelisks. So something new to this game is Laura reading different languages. As you're going through the game, you will find murals or plaques on the wall that are written in different languages, and you read them. Now, there are, I think 3 different languages. There is Mongolian, there is Greek, and there is Russian. And I believe those are the only 3. There might be one more. I can't remember. But so certain things, the dialect is at a certain level. Like, say, if your Russian is at level 5 and an obelisk is level 6, then you're not going to be able to read it. So you'll have to, go level up your language skills and then come back later to read it. You level up by reading scripts that you find, those murals on the wall, pretty much anything you can find to read, read it because it will level up one of your languages or give you XP toward leveling up one of your languages. And the higher your level is, the more obelisks you can read, the more coin catches are revealed, the more coins you can get, the more awesome stuff you can buy from the merchant, and that's just awesome. So the optional tombs, we talked about the first tomb, the one that you have to go through, the Prophet's Tomb. Pretty cool tomb. There are a ton of different other ones. Like I said, a lot more optional tombs this time around. My favorite one is one that you actually encounter pretty early on. It is a ship that is like frozen in the side of a cliff. And it is not just hanging over the side, it is on the side of the cliff, frozen into it. And you have to traverse from the bottom up the masts and solve whatever little puzzle along the way to make your way to the top. And once you get to the top, then you get the treasure, and that's the end of the tomb. So the way the optional tombs work this time is at the end of every optional tomb, once you've solved all the puzzles, you will find an actual tomb, a book. And reading that book will teach Laura a new skill. It might teach her to view the hearts of animals when she's using survival instincts, which we'll talk about that in a second. Or it might teach her to regenerate health faster, or a bunch of other different things. There's a ton of different ones. Each one has a different new ability for Laura to learn. The optional tombs are absolutely worth it. I would say do every single optional tomb that you can. She gets the best abilities from the optional tombs. And also, the optional tombs are the funnest parts of the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the combat, but I just love the exploring and the puzzle solving. The optional tombs are my personal favorite part of the game. So some tombs you will come to and you won't be able to solve right away. They will require you to get a new item to progress that you haven't acquired yet or whatever. Just come back later. And explore. Explore. That's what Tomb Raider is all about. It's all about the exploring, finding those coin catches, finding those audio logs, solving those optional tombs. There are tons of optional challenges and completing the challenges. Like there might be 5 bullseyes in this area. Shoot all 5 and you complete the challenge. Or there might be 5 bunny rabbits hung up on strings in this area. Cut them all down and you complete the challenge. Really easy stuff like that. You just have to look around to find the stuff. But completing those challenges will unlock currency for you to use in the game's expedition mode, which we will talk about later. So I mentioned survival instincts a minute ago. That's something that Laura had in the last game. It's here again. Survival instincts, you press in the right thumbstick, it turns the whole world around you into black and white, except objects of interest, like any treasure chests in the area, any boxes, any audio logs, any manuscripts, any murals, any obelisks, any objectives, any points of interest will be highlighted while you're in survival instincts. Now, while you're standing still, survival instincts can stay indefinitely, and then you can get out of it yourself. But if you're moving, survival instincts will fade away. So you can only use survival instincts while standing still. If you try and move, it'll take you out of survival instincts, and you can't go just straight back into it instantly. It actually takes a couple seconds. So, be wary of that. We talked about the obelisk, we talked about that. So, the actual gameplay itself is really good. Last time there, in 2013's Tomb Raider, you could play kind of stealthy, but most of the time you kind of had to do guns blazing. You couldn't always go stealth. There is a lot more options in this game. Whether you're be able to hide in the bushes, or you can pick up bottles and throw them to distract enemies and make them walk to a certain area and investigate, and then sneak up behind them and get the kill, or headshot them with the bow and arrow, or if you get the silencer for the pistol. There are so many different options. So pretty much every encounter you come to, you can play either stealthily or guns blazing. Now, there are a couple of encounters, not many, just a few, that you absolutely have to do guns blazing, where the enemies notice you right away, like a say Laura's coming down a rope and it's a cutscene, and then at the end she lands on the ground and it cracks a board, and then it goes out of the cutscene, you're into the game, and they know where you are right away. There's nothing you can do about that. That only happens a few times. Most of the time, you can play either way, and I know that is going to be a welcome notion for a lot of people, because some people like both ways, but from what I've noticed, or at least from friends of mine, stealth is something you either love it or you hate it. And people who hate playing stealth games, they hate it. And, if you were forced to do stealth in Rise of the Tomb Raider, they would hate it. They just want to go and through guns blazing and do their thing. And some people actually don't like just guns blazing. Some people want only stealth. So it's good to know that you can do either way. Me, myself, personally, I played through the majority of the game stealthily. I found it a little bit more fun, a little bit more challenging that way. You might not, but, that is what it is. I do admit a few times, I was just, tired of moving stealthily, so I just wanted to, for a change of pace, went in guns blazing, did my thing. The important thing to know is that either way you do it, the game is fun. I absolutely enjoyed all of the combat sequences. And once you kill enemies and you leave an area, you can come back later and more enemies will be there, and you can go through and kill more enemies again. So there is an infinite amount of XP in the game. So you don't have to worry about running out of XP and not being able to unlock all of Laura's perks and skills. It's just really well done, and I do admit the combat itself, the guns blazing part, isn't that much different from the last Tomb Raider, but it was really well done last time. So I'm a firm believer of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I believe that they made the right call there, and they increased the stealth options by 100%. That is absolutely 10 times better than it was before. That was very much appreciated as well. So the perks themselves that Laura unlocks, there were a lot of them in the last game, and pretty much all of the ones from the last game have returned. But there are some new ones as well. The skills are broken down into 3 categories: Brawler, Hunter, and Survivor. And I believe those were the same 3 categories from last time. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. So Brawler is more about her combat skills, increasing your health, increasing damage resistance, making your health heal faster, stuff revolved around combat. The Hunter abilities mostly revolve around Laura's bow and arrow, being able to hold the draw longer, being able to fire more than one arrow at once. At the very beginning of the game, you can only fire 1 arrow at a time. As you progress by the end, you'll be able to fire 3 arrows at once, which is pretty freaking sweet. And it also, gives her a long range time with the bow, like I said, and stuff like that. And then the last one, Survivor. That the survival perks mainly revolve around crafting, being able to craft new types of bombs, new types of arrows, new types of ammunition. There are a couple of other things that don't revolve around that. I believe a couple of them are like executions, one for the pistol, one for the shotgun, one for the rifle, etc. But yeah, they are what they are. And then also, there are perks that actually give you full-on new abilities, like Death from Above allows you to do a knife kill, jumping down from an enemy stealthily. The dodge counter and the dodge kill lets you dodge and then kill an enemy after if you time your dodging right. There's another one that lets you jump from really great heights and hit the B button to roll as soon as you hit the ground, so that you don't die or take too much damage, and things like that. So the perks are really well done. You're constantly leveling up. Every time you read a piece of paper, or listen to an audio log, or open a treasure chest, or find a coin stash, or kill an enemy, everything you do gives Laura XP. So you are constantly getting XP in the game, constantly leveling up, constantly getting skill points. And every time you get one, just go back to your nearest campsite. From the campsites, you can upgrade skill points. You can craft things such as your satchels to hold more stuff. You can craft new types of ammunition. You can upgrade your weapons, and you can change Laura's outfits. I believe I mentioned outfits before. Some of them are cosmetic. Some of them actually give Laura better abilities, such as I think. Matter of fact, I think they all give the same ability. Some either have no ability or they give you the same ability. Because I have three outfits, and they all make Laura regain her health faster. Um, so it would have been cool if different outfits had different abilities, so you could switch between them based on the situation. But overall, I'm pleased with it. My favorite outfit, I believe, is the Infiltrator outfit, which is actually an outfit that I got from a side mission. She's got the camo pants and like a bulletproof vest and like a skin tight like sweater, and it's just really cool looking. And she's got like ammo on her, and then it's just like commando style Laura, and I was digging that. So, but yeah, there's a bunch of other outfits. There's like a fatigued like urbanly snow camo jacket one that you can get. There is a leather jacket one, a bunch of different ones. But yeah, so I mentioned the side missions. So every area, or all of the main areas anyway, will pretty much have at least one person that gives you a side mission. And it might be to go disable these communication towers or to clear wolves out of this cave or whatever. But completing it always gives you something sweet. One gave me that outfit. One gave me a spreader attachment from my shotgun, which decreased the spread so that the shots like traveled further. Excuse me. One gave a laser sight for the pistol, and so forth. So always do the side missions. I mean, obviously they're optional, but they are well worth it. Like I said, one gave you the lockpick as well, which is needed to get parts for some of the best weapons in the game. And even after you've done all the side missions in the area, or in an area, and you've moved on and progressed further in the story, come back to that area later, because that person or those people will likely have new missions for you again. Which I think is really cool because it makes it worth going back to old areas for more than just looking for coin caches you might have missed the first time around. The game is really centered around, giving incentive to do more. And I really appreciate that. All the side missions, they're easy to do, but they're fun to do, and the rewards are well worth it. I think that's one of the best things about Rise of the Tomb Raider is the rewards. Every reward you get is worth it. Whether you're doing an optional tomb, whether you're doing an optional side mission, whether you're, playing through the story mission itself, every time you're rewarded, it's a good reward. A well worth it reward. So I thought that was pretty freaking great. Like I said, the graphics themselves are absolutely stunning. I'm sure there are people out there who will hate on it being an Xbox One exclusive for a year, but get over it. It looks fantastic. I don't care what resolution this game is in. I don't know if it's 1080p, 900p, 720p, or 410p, or 0p. The shit don't matter to me. It's amazing looking. Photorealistic. Laura herself just looks absolutely amazing. The amount of detail in the environments is just stunning. The draw distance, you look out in the distance, you can see everything. It is tenfold way better looking than the last Tomb Raider, and the last one was a good looking game, so that should tell you a lot right there. The sound effects as well, the sounds are just so well done. Laura, when she's running, the breathing gets heavier the longer she runs, or if she's climbing up a cliff with her, pickaxes, or if you fall, she'll make like a scream sound, or if she gets shot by an enemy in combat, she'll scream out in agony. Sometimes she'll just talk to herself, like, come on, Laura, we can do this, hurry up, and blah, 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 stuff like that, while you're climbing a cliff, or if you're making your way through a tight enclosed area. And then back to the graphical capabilities, the blemishes on her, rips in her shirt and clothing as you go through, like if you're in a combat situation, or if you're, falling and hurting yourself, bruising, all that stuff shows up, and it just really, really, really adds to the immersion of the game. The sounds, you can hear the sounds of birds chirping, deer moving through the wilderness, the boar like snorting like pigs as they're moving around, grass rustling as you move through it, drops of water while you're in a cave. It's just the atmosphere is absolutely amazing. The sound effects combined with the absolutely stunning graphics and art direction of this game make for a very unique and very terrific, awesome atmosphere. I can't say enough about it. It's just great. Playthrough time, I played, it took me about 35 to 40 hours, but that was because I did all of the optional tombs and went through and collected most of the optional stuff, not all of it. Someone who is trying to do a rush playthrough could probably do it in less than half that time. Someone who's doing a normal playthrough and maybe doing just a few optional tombs could probably do it in about half that time. Someone who wants to get most of the stuff like me will do it in about 35, maybe 40 hours, depending on how much optional stuff you do. Or you could probably even increase it beyond that if you want to get every single thing complete, 100% completion of the game. You could probably stretch it to about 50 or 60. There's a lot of content in there, and it's quality, all of it. I was very satisfied with the game, absolutely thrilled, and there is a season pass for it. And now that there is no stupid multiplayer, oh my god, that multiplayer and Tomb Raider, the 2013 Tomb Raider, was horrible. And I'm so glad that they didn't bring it back. It just did that game no justice. It felt like an afterthought. So, yeah. I'm hoping that the DLC this time will be single-player, campaign-focused DLC that'll bring us some new optional tombs, some new story content. That's what I want. That's what the fans want. When they kept dropping nothing but map packs for their horrible multiplayer last time, I just shook my head in disgust every time a new one dropped. I was like, come on. And I kept waiting for some single-player DLC, and there never was any. So, thankfully, I think that's not the way of it this time. However, there is more than just campaign. Instead of multiplayer, there is a mode called Expedition Mode. Now, this is where that currency I told you about comes in. Expedition Mode essentially lets you replay certain levels from the campaign. And you can play through it again regularly with modifiers, which are cards, which we'll get to in a minute, or you can do a score attack and go for the highest score and try and, get to the top of the leaderboards. And I know there are people who are insane about leaderboards, so they'll love that. And that's pretty much about it. There are a couple other different ways to play it that changes up, the way. Well, I think one is a little bit more combat focused, like a survival type of deal. But so how it works is you go in, you choose what level you want, what difficulty you want, and which version of Expedition Mode you want, and then select, and then you move forward, and then it comes up with 5 different challenges. And you can go through and change those and pick 5 challenges that you want. A lot of them will be locked, and you have to unlock them by playing through more Expedition Mode, but a lot of them are unlocked at the outset. So you can go through and customize which challenges you want, and then select those, and then move on, and then you can select up to 5 cards. Now the cards, this is where the microtransactions come in. Players will be thankful to know that the microtransactions have absolutely nothing to do with the main game, the campaign. These microtransactions are only to deal with this Expedition Mode. And you don't even need to spend real money to open packs. You will gain currency from playing Expedition Mode. You will also gain currency from the regular campaign itself by completing those challenges that I told you about. And then you use the currency, whether you earned it or whether you bought it, to open packs of cards. A lot of games are doing this these days. You had Titanfall with the burn cards, but you didn't have to actually pay for those. Halo with the rec packs. Seems like every game is going toward that now. But yeah, so the cards will range from common to rare, super rare, or whatever. And most of them are one-time uses. Some of them increase the difficulty. Some of them lower the difficulty. The ones that increase the difficulty will give you a higher score. and or give you more currency at the completion. The ones that make it easier will give you less score and or less currency at completion, but they make the game easier. There are also permanent unlocks like outfits and guns for Laura, pretty much the same ones you find in the campaign. You can collect again through card packs, but there are different modified versions of those guns that are a little bit more powerful or a little bit less powerful or whatever. And getting the cards to unlock those, you can always equip those. You can have up to 5 cards equipped at a time. Don't know if I said that already, but yeah, and then you play, and then it's just once you complete the level, you get a score, get some currency, whatever, go back through, choose another level, modifiers, customize your experience, do it again. Overall, I would say that it is way better than the multiplayer crap from 2013's Tomb Raider. And while it is fun, and I did enjoy it for about 5 to 10 hours, and I do see myself, probably playing it, here or there in the future. It's not something that I can see myself playing a month from now. It's not something I see myself getting addicted to. It's there. It's fun. It's a fun distraction, I guess. When you're tired of the campaign, but you want to play some Tomb Raider. But yeah, so I think I've covered pretty much everything. It is an absolutely amazing game. There were a couple things. One of the optional tombs I went into, there was a part where there was like this bell like caught up in the ice, and then there was another bell, and you had to attach a rope to it and then attach the other end of the rope to this thing that you had to reel in to pull the rope back. And then there was a knife at the top of the reel with a lever next to it, and you pulled the lever and the knife would come down and cut the rope, which sent the bell flying to hit the other one and then knock it free. Well, there's like a gust of wind that comes out from the side, and you have to cut the rope at just the right time for it to actually do what it's supposed to do. Well, I didn't know that the first time I did it, and I cut the rope and it missed, so I needed to reset and do again. Well, that knife isn't able to be reset. You can go up to it and it has the button for the X button for you to hit it, but it doesn't put the knife back up. It just shakes the knife at the bottom and it doesn't do anything. And I spent an hour trying to figure that crap out. Finally, I said, screw that, and then just backed up to my last save and went and did it again. But I didn't find any glitches. I never fell through the map. I never got caught in the map. I didn't see any enemies bugging out or anything like that. It's a very, very, very well polished game. And for all I know, I may have been doing that part of that tomb wrong. Maybe it wasn't something that was overlooked. But yeah, that was the only thing that I can even think of at all. And that wasn't even really a big problem because I just backed up my save and then did it right. Yeah, very well polished, awesome graphics, awesome sounds. Gameplay is absolutely amazing. The tombs are just stunning. The difficulty in them ranges anywhere from easy as pie to let's think about this for a few minutes. You know what I mean? None of them are too hard. Maybe one or two of them might feel a little bit too easy, but for the most part, they're good. They will offer just enough challenge to where you feel accomplished when you finish them, but not so much to where you're getting super frustrated. Like I said, it's a great game, and I can't wait to see what Crystal Dynamics does with Laura next, to see what her next adventure is, what, if any, awesome single-player DLC we get for this Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's good. I would give it 4.5 frags. The only thing holding it back from a perfect 5 frags is the fact that I think Expedition Mode could have been a little bit better. Matter of fact, I'll say 4.75 frags because it's close to perfect. It is a great game. Tons of content for your money. Well worth it. If you did not like 2013's Rise of the Tomb Raider, I'm not sure anything here is going to change your mind. If you liked 2013's Rise of the Tomb Raider, you're going to love Rise of the Tomb Raider. If you've never played Tomb Raider, I suggest checking it out. It is a great game, well worth the time, well worth the money. You will get your money's worth. There is a lot of exploring and fun to be had. Check it out. And with that is my review for Rise of the Tomb Raider. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more in-depth coverage, please go and check out my written review at fragtagradio.com. Also, feel free to like and subscribe to this video if you enjoyed it. I very much appreciate it. We always like more subscribers, and the more likes, the more viewers come to us. You can also contact me on Twitter if you want to chat at any time. I interact with all of our fans on Twitter. I also tweet out a lot of gaming news on Twitter daily, almost hourly. So if you want to stay updated on what's going on in the gaming industry, follow me on Twitter. If you want to chat, follow me on Twitter. My gamer tag is PradiusXUCM, PradiusXUCM on Xbox One. Feel free to follow me on there. Hit me up. We can chat. We might be able to get together and play some Halo, play some Killer Instinct, whatever. Or Warframe. I'm a huge fan of Warframe. But yeah, that's the episode. Hope you guys and gals enjoyed it. Peace.
Frag Radio.